I actually grew up in church. From the time I was very young, I was at church pretty much every weekend, and I was just a good girl. And I came from a good family with good parents.
So it was just one of those families where we all grew up in church and everything, and growing up it was great, but it didn't really mean a lot to me until a little bit later. And I accepted Christ whenever I was in student ministry here.
I became a Christian when I was a teenager, but for many, many years ran from Christ. I chose not to follow him. In 1996, I recommitted my life to Christ and have followed him fairly consistently over the last 16 years.
I guess as I started getting older, I stayed a good girl compared to the rest of the world, and so for that reason I would actually try to discredit my faith. And so as good as I was, I guess I never really thought I needed a savior. I earned my way to heaven.
But when we started talking about this baptism thing, especially designing it and trying to get it ready for Easter, I started thinking about it a lot, and I went through confirmation class in 6th grade, and everybody gets baptized after that, which of course back then just meant getting sprinkled and getting sent on your way. So it occurred to me that I had never really been baptized as a believer, because I didn't really come to Christ until a couple years later.
I remember I signed up for a Jamaica mission trip, and I attended 1122 strictly because it was right before our mission meeting one Sunday. And I came and I was so distracted by the people, and I remember just watching and staring and completely judging and thinking these people were crazy, that they worship with their eyes closed and their hands up, and who does that?
But about 7 years ago, I came to Beach and began to get involved in the church here and do Bible studies and really dig into his word. And at that point, I began to know who he was at a deeper level than ever before, and really fell in love with him and chose to just honor him with my life and dedicate every ounce of my being to him.
And so I get to Jamaica with, I don't know, probably 50 other people. One day I'm riding on the bus with Joby, and he just sits there and he asks me to tell him how I met Christ and when I met Christ. And I just threw my hands up and I was like, Joby, will you just explain what that means? Like, what do you mean, when did I meet Christ? I never shook his hand. It's my understanding he's been there since I was born. I've gone to church my whole life. And he just looked at me and he said, so you were a good girl? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess I was.
We started talking about this whole Easter baptism thing, and I just really wanted to be a part of that because I'd never been baptized as a believer before. So during the 1122 service, I just decided that night at 6:22, whenever I came back to work, I was just gonna, end of the night, I just decided I was getting baptized, because accepting Christ was a huge thing for me in middle school, and I just really wanted to have that experience and have that date that I could point to and say, this is when it was different for me. I'm just really excited to say that Jesus Christ is my personal Lord and Savior.
Through Bible study and worship, I began to sense a call into ministry and have pursued that, and am now on a track to help launch the Church of 1122, and it just seemed appropriate to be baptized during this season of launch that we are going through, since I had never publicly professed my faith in Jesus Christ and through a baptism. So I'm very, very happy to say that Jesus Christ is the one and only Lord and Savior of my life.
And so it was on that trip that I accepted Christ as my Savior, and realized that that the gift of Christ's rescue has to be accepted. That anybody can give you a gift, but if you don't accept it, then you never really get to enjoy it. I'm here to publicly proclaim in front of all the people that have invested in me that I do need a Savior, and that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior.